and congratulations on making the commitment to document your family's oral history and create your family legacy project. Let's get started.
The first step is preparing for the interview. Because your goal is to capture real stories, you want to make sure that your interview subject is comfortable enough to talk to you openly.
There are a few ways you can do this. First, be prepared. Do some background research on the time periods you want to focus on, but more importantly, on your interview subject. Ask other family members about your interview subject's life and stories.
By doing background research, you will be able to ask your subject about particular experiences in their life that they may not have offered to share before.
If you know you have access to visual images, view them before your interview so you can ask your interviewee specific questions that pertain to the images. Using old photos will help elicit your subject's memory. For example, a person standing at a bus station may trigger a question such as, "Tell me about the photo I saw where you and Auntie were standing at the bus station."
Another way to ensure your interview will run smoothly is prepare your questions in a way that will generate a response. For instance, if you were to interview my grandmother about World War II, I may want to ask, "Was it hard for you being forced into an internment camp?"
And her response might be, "Oh, I was too young to understand," or just simply, "Yes, it was difficult."
But by framing your questions with phrases like, "What was it like when?" or "Tell me about the time," or "Explain why," your subject will feel comfortable with giving a more elaborate answer.
Instead, you can ask, "Relive for me how it felt when you had to say goodbye to your friends and your school and home when you were forced into an internment camp."
Also, when you are forming your questions, decide ahead of time if your final product will have a narrative host style or whether the interviewees will tell the story themselves. Having the interviewees tell the stories themselves without the support of a narrator is more challenging. You'll have to ask more questions and ask that your interviewees respond in complete sentences.
For example, when asking Uncle Tad what year he was born, it's best if he answers, "I was born in 1924, instead of just 1924.
Now that you have gathered your materials, done some background research on your interview subjects, and prepared your framed questions, you are ready to start the interview.
Have your interview seated in a comfortable chair and seat yourself across from him or her at the same eye level and as close to the camera as you can. Your interviewee will want to have eye contact with you, but if you're seated close to the camera, he or she will still be facing and addressing you in the same direction as the camera lens.
In the coming chapters, you will learn more video techniques, so for now we will just say that once you have your shot set, minimize any further fiddling with the camera.
The best interviews happen when you and your interview subject get into a groove and forget the camera's even there. That won't happen if you break eye contact and fiddle with the camera.
Begin your interview with your pre-written questions, but don't become so tied to your list that you forget to listen and pay attention to what your interviewee is saying, and neglect an important opportunity for a good spontaneous follow-up question.
For example, your interview subject may mention the family pet they had before going to internment camp. If you're not paying attention and just continue with your pre-written questions, you could miss the opportunity to ask about what happened to their beloved bunny and hear the emotional story about having to let her go.
Another important thing to remember during your interview is to give a lot of nonverbal signs that you're paying attention. Nod, cock your head, and retain eye contact with your interview subject instead of using verbal cues that the microphone will pick up.
In your final product, you won't want to hear yourself say, or uh-huh in the background. It'll be distracting to the viewer and it's not easily edited out.
Now you know the basics to conducting a great interview with your family members.
Just remember to prepare, listen, and ask follow-up questions, and you'll make your family comfortable to share their stories, which you can pass down for generations to come. Good luck, and have fun!